there. 25th day of Lent. It's Saturday. I hope you had a good St. Patrick's Day. Blessings to you, Pastor Chris from Desert Springs Covenant Church, and our recentering activity to start out. I think I'm just going to take a couple deep breaths. So will you join me? Two more. One more. And hold it a little bit. Well, today's devotional is called I Shall Not Want, and perhaps you can even guess the passage that we will be reading even from that phrase. It's a well-known passage of Scripture from Psalm 23, and I'll be reading from the New King James Version. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Well, Psalm 23 is about as well known a Bible passage as there is. Even in our culture where biblical literacy is decreasing rapidly, many can finish the line, the Lord is my shepherd, or have heard about my cup that runneth over. There's a timeless quality to the pastoral image of the shepherd caring for his sheep that helps comfort even those who've never been within 100 miles of a farm. Many of you who are listening to this, viewing this, have known the reality of being in the valley of the shadow of death. Those who have had reason to be fearful for their lives in traumatic moments, especially from childhood, can feel those effects years later. And this is attested to by the original ACE study, Adverse Childhood Experience Study, was nearly 30 years ago. The ACE study was conducted by the Centers of Disease Control and Kaiser Permanente in the mid-1990s with a group of patients that was insured through Kaiser Permanente. The initial study focused on how traumatic childhood events may negatively affect adult health. And those 17,000 some original participants surveyed were asked about their experiences in childhood and asked if they were maltreated, if there was family dysfunction, and then they were asked about current health and behaviors. The ACE study found a direct link between childhood trauma and the adult onset of chronic disease, incarceration, and even employment challenges. And if you'd like to learn more about ACEs and the connection between childhood trauma and later life issues, you can find that information at ACES 2 High. That's ACES, ACES 2 TOO, and then the word high, HIGH.com. So ACES2high.com. And if you can't remember that after you're done viewing this, if you type into a search engine ACEs and trauma, I'm sure that information about the ACE study will pop up. You might even find something written by yours truly as you look those things up. So back to this valley of the shadow of death. You know, children that grow up and become adults that have those lingering shadows of death from those valley experiences as very young people, you know, they can feel like they've been brought through that valley experience, but that shadow of death is still cast on their hearts and minds. And thankfully, Our Good Shepherd can bring healing and restoration that builds future resilience in the midst of difficulties and stress. There's a phenomenon known as post-traumatic growth that allows us to have greater appreciation for our relationships and the wisdom to view life in terms of what truly matters. I know I've heard trauma survivors express joy at knowing that now as adults, they can be the type of adult that they needed as a child and didn't have around. And that they have that joy in knowing that they can help the next generation grow up healthy and happy. The promise of I shall not want, that's there in Psalm 23, is not a promise that there will be nothing in our lives that will cause anxiety. Now, the rest of the psalm would be ridiculous if that were the meaning. What we never want for is the comfort of knowing that we don't go through life's hardships alone. Knowing that we will have God's presence is helpful, but so is knowing that we have the support of others that God sends to us, that God places in our lives. So find others that can support you in the days ahead. And then also look for others that you can support as well. Remember, the Lord cares for you and for me as a good shepherd cares for the sheep. Other passages for contemplation today are 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 32 through 34, and John chapter 1, verses 1 through 9. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful time in worship this weekend, and I'll see you Monday.